Arcadian Vanguard presents the Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Tuesday, December 19th, 2023. Good morning. I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with last night's Monday Night Raw broadcast live on USA Network from the Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines, Iowa. In the main event, Finn Balor and Damian Priest of Judgment Day retained the undisputed WWE World Tag Team title against the Creed brothers. The match marked the first World Tag Team title challenge for the Creeds. Earlier in the show, Kayden Carter and Katana Chance became the new WWE Women's Tag Team champions, dethroning Chelsea Green and Piper Niven when Carter pinned Green. The loss ended Green and Niven's title reign at 126 days. Green had held the title for an additional 28 days with Sonya Deville, who was sidelined with an injury last August. World Champion Seth Rollins confronted Drew McIntyre during a promo segment on the show that ended with McIntyre leaving the champion laying.
Well, McIntyre went after Rollins, and Seth fighting back now, and that kick drives McIntyre through the ropes and out to the outside, and Rollins is not done yet, and Seth Rollins takes out McIntyre. And Rollins now in a fight.
McIntyre went for that Glaswegian kiss once.
Oh, no.
Rollins was wise to it, but however, McIntyre just too strong and perhaps too motivated.
And now McIntyre begins the assault on the champion.
Physical.
I like a man that needs your gun.
McIntyre is scheduled to challenge for Rollins' title on the January 1st Day 1 edition of Monday Night Raw. Intercontinental Champion Gunther was successful in another defense of the title against The Miz. Per a pre-match stipulation, Miz is now unable to challenge Gunther for the title again. In other results, Jey Uso beat Ludwig Kaiser, R-Truth defeated J.D. McDonough in a Miracle on 34th Street fight, and Ivar squashed Akira Tozawa. In health-related news, C.J. Perry was rushed into emergency surgery yesterday due to a worsening infection in her right hand and arm. Wrote Perry on her social media, quote, "I have been in the ER and hospital for over 50 hours. The infection has gotten worse, and I'm going into surgery tonight. Please keep me in your thoughts and prayers. I love you all," end quote. The injury began as a laceration in her middle finger, eventually leading to her being pulled last week from scheduled appearances in both AEW and CMLL. In ratings news, last Friday night's SmackDown drew a total of 2.240 million viewers to Fox, according to WrestleNomics. That's a drop of 6% from the previous week's audience of 2.384 million. In the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic, the show did a .55 rating, down from the previous week's .63. Ratings for Friday night's Rampage were also down, according to WrestleNomics, with an audience of 308,000 tuning into TNT after 341,000 the previous week. The key demo rating saw a drop of 1/3, coming in at .08 after the previous week's key demo rating of .12. In more WWE news, both Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio have signed new deals with the company, according to reports in PW Insider and Figure 4 Online. One source reported to PW Insider that Dominic's new contract is for 5 years and was signed last month. It was not known for how long Rey's new contract would run. Rey Mysterio's current run with WWE began in October 2018, while Dominic has been with the company since his career began in August of 2020. In news from outside the ring, AEW World Champion Maxwell Jacob Friedman was inducted yesterday into the National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame in a ceremony held in Commack, New York. Dedicated to honoring American Jewish figures who have distinguished themselves in sports, the hall was established in 1993. Friedman joins Bill Goldberg and Raven as the hall's only pro wrestlers inducted to date. And in TNA news, the company is returning to the toy space with a new deal to release action figures and other accessories through figure manufacturer Powertown Wrestling. Series 1 is set to debut next summer, according to yesterday's press release, with the pre-sale beginning in March. Figures are expected to ship by August, with Series 2 figures being made available by December of 2024. TNA Impact's last action figure line was through Jakks Pacific and ceased production in 2015. Powertown first came to prominence last year with an independent line of wrestling legend figures and was co-founded by Steve Rosenthal, who managed the AWA All-Star action figure line from Remco Toys in the 1980s. And before we leave you today, We'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.